Okay.
All right, welcome again. I am here to talk to you about the best types of questions to ask in your consultation. I'm Manny Fraser, I'm the fitness manager at Good Life Fitness Whitby Centrum, and I'm your sales coach. I'm your sales mentor. The reason why you're here is because you want to know more about sales and building rapport with people. Okay, so let's talk about it. So there are 9 different types of questions that you're going to be asking to your consultation. My goal today is to share these 9 different questions and talk about the 5 different ways of asking that question. Now, I'm going to be going really fast during this video. What I need you to do is this. In the description, I have a link to my website where this blog is posted, and we're gonna go into more details in that blog, giving you examples of different questions you can ask and how to ask it, okay? With questions, tonality is everything. That's a whole separate video that we can go into, but tonality is everything with questions. You have to come in with the process of asking and wanting to know. It's like meeting with a friend that you haven't seen in a while, and like we're just restarting right again. So, first type of question that you want to ask is an open-ended question. Realistically, an open-ended question leads to more dialogue. You want to avoid saying yes or no questions. So like, did you like that? This is a yes or no. You want to avoid asking questions that lead to one-word answers, and open-ended questions lead to more answers, exploratory questions. So realistically, when you're in a consultation and you are now talking to someone, you want to ask more open-ended questions. Always think about these things. So there's 5 different things I always work on with everybody is think about questions like this: who, what, where, how, and when. Avoid the why question. The why question is when you ask a why question in fitness sales, what ends up happening is you have someone that gets angry at you, aggressive. I don't know why that is, but it's almost like if you say, someone says I want to lose weight, and then you say, why do you want to lose weight? All of a sudden they get defensive about this goal, thinking that you as a trainer is judging them. You don't want to be judging them. You are there as their friend. You're building relationships with them, okay? The next thing is open opportunity questions. Open opportunity questions are really just asking questions that lead towards an open opportunity. Leading questions, this is actually one of my favorites. Leading questions is I'm staring them down a path where it ends up them saying yes to training at the end. So I'm asking leading questions to help their brain process everything that we're talking about, right? Where it leads to them saying, yes, I want more training at the end of it versus, no, I don't want any more. Low-key questions is another one. Sequential questions is another one that you want to be asking. Flattery-based questions. Probing deeper questions. Okay, so now let's talk about probing deeper questions. This is where you're going to be like, can you tell me more about that? Can you tell me more about that? Can you tell me more about that trip you want to take to Bora Bora in 6 months? Can you tell me more about how when you lose this weight, how your husband's going to be looking at you, how your wife is going to be looking at you? Can you tell me more about how your spouse is going to be looking at you? Can you tell me more about how this is going to make you feel? Can you tell me more about when you gain this strength and you're now on the platform in front of your family and friends, how that's going to make you feel? Can you tell me more about it is one of the biggest probing questions. That's one of my biggest probing questions I'll ask. Can you tell me more? Next, emotional thermometer questions. This is a scale system. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how does this make you feel? On a scale of 1 to 10, how is this going to make you feel when you achieve this goal? On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this goal to you? On a scale of 1 to 10, how badly do you want this, right? We talk about big wants versus small wants. Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a want is this, right? So emotional thermometer is just anything that anyone tells me, I can put it on a thermometer and say on a scale system, right? It helps people realize like what it means. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is this goal to you? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think you'll be able to achieve these goals? Do you think you'll actually be able to achieve these goals on a scale of 1 to 10, right? Landmine questions is the last one. So I'm going through this quickly because realistically, I really do a good job at describing this and I really did a good job at describing this and giving you tips in the blog. So this is where you're gonna have to take that extra step and clicking in the link below, they'll take you right to that blog, you can read it there. Okay, the next way is the ways to ask the question. So the ways to ask questions, there's 5 different ways to ask questions. There's aggressive, loaded, emotional, impulsive, tricky. So I'm gonna go through aggressive and I'm gonna go through emotional or loaded. not like emotional, aggressive. So aggressive would be like if someone tells you something, you're aggressively going back into wanting to get an answer. So let's say someone says, in overcoming objections specifically, let's say for instance, someone tells you, you know what, I have to think about it. Okay, totally understand that you have to think about it. I gave you a lot to think about today, David. But you know what? What do you have to think about today? Because what I want to know is that we're here together. I want to answer any questions that you have right now. It might come across as aggressive because I'm not allowing them to just leave it at that, but I need to be able to move this sale forward. And by moving the sale forward, it's going to require me to ask and be a bit more aggressive. In terms of a loaded question, it means that it might open up a lot of different things. So let's say, for instance, they say, you know, my entire life I've been teased. So can you tell me more about how it made you feel when you were teased your entire life? I'm opening up a whole bunch of stuff at the end of this question. I know that already. So when you're looking at ways to ask it, it's like you're searching for different ways to ask and different questions you can ask, okay? You don't need to know all of these. This is now, if you're at the end of this video, it means that you're one of the 1%ers and you want to learn more, okay? Here's the secret. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to master one of these. So pick one of these types of questions you want to ask and pick one way you ask questions. Master that one way, right? If you learn how to master the one way. So let's say that you master open-ended questions and you have a very aggressive style of open-ended questions, okay? So where do I get all the information from? Go on Google. Go on Google and be like, all right, what are some different aggressive open-ended questions I can ask? Go on ChatGPT and ask the same thing. What are some aggressive open-ended questions I can ask? Get a bunch of them in your pocket. And when you're in a consultation, be able to practice these questions with your grandma, auntie, mom, dad, brothers, sisters, people around you. Practice it. And then when you're sitting down in a consultation and you're like, hey, you have these aggressive open-ended questions that you can now utilize it. For me, the best way that I find that I'm asking questions is probing deeper questions. And I go through, I would say emotional thermometer questions are my two question bases that I ask a lot of. And I really go into emotional and impulsive. I can teach you in terms of impulsiveness and give you one tip in terms of impulsiveness, okay? Here's one tip in terms of impulsiveness. If you want to know someone's impulsive, the way you want to do it is like, how long have you been thinking about achieving this goals? Based off the answer of this person, this is how impulsive they are. If someone tells you that they just thought about this morning and they're in front of you today, they're impulsive. If someone tells you that, you know what, I've been thinking about this for a month, 2 months, a year, they're not that impulsive. Which means that now you have to figure out, okay, how can I ask them more additional questions that will lead to them being able to say yes to what I'm trying to ask them for and be able to decide on the spot, okay? Okay, that's it for today. Here's what I want you to do. If you found any value out of this content, I want you to do one thing for me. Well, actually 2 things, maybe 3 things actually. 3 things. I want you to like the video, okay? I want you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And the last thing is I want you to share this with a friend who you think would need to be working on their fitness sales and be able to be a 10 out of 10 in their company. All right? So for that being said, peace.